Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. Another great article up on playpicks.com for you guys. Some best bets, DFS strategy on a nice sized NBA slate for tonight on Tuesday. As always, if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find all those local listings and make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page and video. We will be checking the comments here coming up tomorrow with a gift card opportunity for you. So stay tuned for that. And as for now, Nate, let's jump into those lines for May 11th.
Yep, 11 games here on May 11th, starting with the Nuggets minus 6.5 at Hornets. Wolves are minus 7.5 at Pistons. The Heat are minus 2 at the Celtics, who just sadly found out Jaylen Brown is done for the year. Clippers are minus 12 at the Raptors, who will be benching everybody tonight. Sixers minus 6.5 at Pacers. Joel Embiid questionable there. Nets are minus 5 at the Bulls. The Mavs are minus 2.5 at the Grizz. Magic plus 14 at the Bucks as Milwaukee comes off a loss to San Antonio. Suns are minus 5.5 at Warriors. The tanking Thunder plus 10.5 at Kings. And the New York Knickerbockers plus 5 at the Lakers. There's an outside chance LeBron James plays tonight. So that's intriguing for sure. First thing I looked at, though, was the Celtics and Heat. And I guess that's corrected itself now on DraftKings. The total was just 222.5 after these teams combined for 254 on Sunday. Now we're sitting at 225, which is definitely still exploitable. I teased it down a little bit. In any case, I think we're going to see plenty of points, especially without Jaylen Brown. Unfortunately, he was out with a sprained ankle, and then out of the blue, we just found out he has a torn ligament in his wrist and will not even play in the playoffs. Huge blow to the Celtics team that just has a vacancy in leadership. And Jaylen, while he's not a vocal guy, he is kind of their steadiest presence, especially on defense. This is not going to go well in terms of trying to contain Jimmy Butler, who had a nice game on Sunday, has now scored. He's averaging 27.3 points per game on 54%. His last 5 against Boston. I'm looking at his prop to go over 22.5 points. And I'm looking at the Heat to continue their ways, which is second in offensive rating, 24th in defensive rating over the last 6, and they've gone over 9 straight. Celtics, pretty much the same thing, 6th in offense, 27th in defense in their last 6, over in 7 of their last 8, 9th in pace during that span. Celtics really struggling to protect the rim and will probably also be without Robert Williams tonight. They're going to obviously lean on Jason Tatum more without Brown. He has scored a nice 28.4 points per game, but his efficiency drops considerably without Jaylen. I don't think that's going to help them win games tonight. In this situation, I just think Miami has flipped that switch. They're now playing as if it's a playoff situation, and especially against, one of their blood rivals who they just played in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're going to try to get both of these games, trying to get up to 5th or 4th and get a much easier first round game. And the Celtics, as much as they'd like to avoid the play-in tournament, I just don't think they have enough right now on both ends. So I'm liking the Heat and the over. Separate bets, parlay them together, whatever.
Fully. Yeah, I like both bets a lot. If there's some Jimmy props out there, looking for those. If there's some Tatum props and you like the over, seems worth it to take something for Tatum's points tonight as well. Possible 30-point game for him. As you said, the Heat differently playing much differently than they normally would, stepping it up on offense and not quite as much on defense, but still like them to pull that game out for sure. Another game that's going to be really intriguing, as you mentioned, LeBron James was initially ruled out for this game once again, and then Brian Windhorst just early this morning is already reporting that James is looking to target tonight as a game to return. Either way, we were talking about this a little bit. I think even if James does return, I still do feel pretty good about the Knicks. I might continue to let this rise a bit as the fodder goes on social media everywhere about whether or not James plays, and people start to think he will. So they try to get that spread a little bit early at 7.5 or so. I don't feel bad about 7.5 right now already for the Knicks. And if James doesn't play, and stays there, I feel really good about it as well. We have seen a little bit of a resurgence from AD in his last two, as he's combined for 80 points in his last couple games. But we look at what they've done since he's been back. It's been 10 games now that he's been available for them, and they're only 3-7 in that time, with the 25th best offensive rating, really the fifth worst offensive rating in the league. Still, as you see him try to get back, I think he'll continue to play a little bit better and show you some points. But they're also going to be without Dennis Schroeder tonight again. They are 2-6 against the spread when he sits this year, and they've also just dropped a ton in the amount of points that they score, as we mentioned previously. They're down to about 106 points a game when Dennis Schroeder is unavailable. You combine that with the possibility of of LeBron tonight, some guys still hobbled with injuries, including Kuz and KCP. There's not going to be as much for them. Last time these teams played, AD was not available. Jay Randall had a really good game, 34-10 in the Knicks win. They won by about 15 points earlier this year. And they do a lot of the things well that the Lakers don't, which is a few of the things anyway. They're fifth in points off turnovers, the Knicks are, with Lakers weirdly third most turnovers in the league this year. The Knicks are number one in 3-point D, as we've talked about. They do allow the second fewest points in the paint, specifically on the road. So they really lock up on Dean Nerlens Noel, and Taj Gibson will be available for them tonight. So I do feel pretty good about that. And like we said, Julius Randle, Dr. Revenge, the Lakers gave up on him. He's got pretty good career numbers against them. I do like him to score 25 points tonight. Put some money on that for even money. And then I think I'll tease for now. I'll feel really good about teasing the Knicks up to about 11.5 points and combine that with the game here I'll talk about in just one sec.
Yeah, you can get the Knicks. If you can tease them up anywhere between 7 and 11, you feel great about that. I would kind of hedge against LeBron not playing by taking the Lakers under on their team total. It's 109.5. I mean, their offense is just putrid without LeBron. It's just so slow. And as much as AD has been able to do that heavy lifting, they have really no three-point shooting around him. And the Knicks are so good at defending the three-point line. I think they will crash down on him, really muck the game up. And it'll be tough for points to come by for either team in this one. So I like that.
Yeah, I really like that. Just one thing, you do need a strong ball handling guard to be able to take on the Knicks and penetrate, as you've seen Chris Paul and some other guys do, to be able to take on the Knicks D. Nobody like that for the Lakers tonight with Schrader out.
Yeah, they really miss him. The Grizzlies are also struggling on offense, as I mentioned in last night's show. They barely went under that team total, which is a nice win if you followed me there. I'm not touching the total in any game involving the Mavericks right now, but I am trusting the Mavericks to win. They have been very good lately. They've won 8 of their last 10. In fact, they've won 10 straight if you don't count their weird losses to the Sacramento Kings, which they have done 3 times this year. But when they played good teams, they've won 10 of their last 12 winning teams, that is. They've covered in 5 straight. They've covered in 4 straight on the road. They've beaten Memphis in 5 of the last 6 meetings. They've won 3 times in a row in Memphis. That last one, a little bit lucky on the Luka leaner at the buzzer, sure. But I definitely like where Dallas has gone since then versus where Memphis has gone. If it's just a 3-point shooting league here in the NBA, Dallas is 3rd in 3-point defense and 3rd in offense, shooting 40% from deep while winning 7 of their last 8. Memphis is 27th in offensive rating and 3-point percentage and 24th in 3-point defense over their last 10. They've basically only been able to beat bad teams. They are now 2-10 straight up when they're listed as home underdogs, and 14-22 against winning teams. And really, when their offense has nowhere to go, it's just kind of dump it down to Jonas and let him work, right? But Valanciunas averages just 12.4 points per game in his last 5 against Dallas, who, I don't think they're missing Porzingis very much on either end, especially now that Dwight Powell's back and playing well. If you really want to throw the big guns out there, maybe we'll have a Boban sighting against Big JB. In any case, yeah, just love the Mavs on the road and the small spread of just 2.5 right now.
Yeah, the Mavs. They've seemed like a really up and down team this season, but in reality, they started the season incredibly slow, 8-12. Since then, they're 32-16. So that's well above 500. One of the top teams in the West with that record. So I think you're still getting a ton of value with them. And I do not, if I was a team, any of these other teams in the West, I would not want to face Dallas early on in the playoffs this year, the way they're playing right now. So. One more game I will talk about. I mentioned Chris Paul earlier. Going to go back into the Suns as they are taking on the Golden State Warriors, who did win last night in a big way against the Jazz, which I'll just throw out there that I did say was going to happen. Nice little money line bet on a 2.5-point dog there at home. However, it's now 2 nights in a row for them, and I don't like betting against Steph. But I do feel a little bit better about it when, in my eyes, he's got somewhat a big brother on the other side of the court in CP3. They've had a nice little rivalry all their careers since Steph started putting up some serious numbers, obviously, for the Warriors. And you look at what they've done in their what CP3 specifically has done with facing Curry, guarding him every time they play. In their last 8 regular season matchups, Curry only averages about 23.5 points on 43% shooting. Chris Paul really brings it every time, really bothers him with all the little cheap stuff that he does. So I am looking for him to be able to put a little bit of the clamps on Curry. And when you look at it, the offense for Golden State outside of Curry is horrible. They're overall, even with Curry averaging almost 32 points a game this season, they're 23rd in offensive rating. As we continue to talk about, and they continue to be good on defense. Completely led by Draymond and Andrew Wiggins, also having a really incredible personal defensive rating season for the Warriors. But really, as underdogs in general, they're 16-23 against the spread on no rest. They're the second worst team in the league, 5-9 against the spread, which they, as we mentioned, they're coming off that back-to-back. So, I don't really know what to do with any of these totals. It's totally dependent on how many points Curry scores. If you do think that he's likely to be held in check a bit, you might consider the under in this game, currently sitting at like only, where are we at here? Yeah, 230.
230.
Thank you. I saw a different one. 230, what we're at now at this point, I would consider under way before I go over, even though the Suns have been much better on offense than defense. I just don't like what I see from the Warriors on the second night of that back-to-back. And I might consider taking this game at 5 points. I feel great. I would consider taking it all the way up to almost like 7.5, to be honest.
Yeah, and I just like backing Chris Paul after a loss for the Suns. I think he'll be all over the court tonight and do a pretty good job on Curry. I've just seen his props on DraftKings over 4.5 rebounds for plus 120 or just over 30.5 PRA, points, rebounds, assists. I think he will definitely fill up the box score tonight, which makes him a good DFS play as well. Before I get there, though, I just have to quick hit how bad the Oklahoma City Thunder are. There are really no stats to back this up. Yes, they have lost 12 straight against losing teams by 19 points per game. And the Kings have the second best defensive rating, surprisingly, in their last 6 games. All 6 going under. No De'Aaron Fox still. So I could see another nice defensive performance from the Kings, keeping OKC below 105 points because OKC has no interest in competing. When you're benching a second-year guy like Ty Jerome, I brought this up again. All he did was score a nice, efficient 20 points, and he gets benched the rest of the week. Luguentz Dort, even when he's out there, is not really trying very hard, and I guess Maladon might sit tonight. It's just a ridiculous, shameless effort to tank when the lottery odds don't even change that much when you're in dead last. In any case, when a team is trying to lose, not really scared of a 10-point spread. And I would even look at maybe an alternate spread, getting that up a few more points for better odds.
When you have 17 extra draft picks, you really need to make sure you hit on one of them. So the Thunder are taking no chances there.
They have other teams' draft picks, though. It's not like they... Anyway, in that game, I would look at Terrence Davis for the Kings with Fox, Halliburton, and Harrison Barnes lightly out. They need a little more scoring. I'm looking at the Raptors, who are playing to lose at this point as well. They're sitting basically their whole starting lineup, leaving Kem Birch, Gary Trent Jr., and Malachi Flynn to handle the offense. In that Heat game, I think you're getting pretty good value for Trevor Ariza and Goran Dragic, who's now healthy. I think you're getting good value for Evan Fournier, who's going to now step into the Jaylen Brown role and has finally performed on offense. He's been a disaster on defense, though. And I'm looking at a bit of a stack in the Bulls-Nets game, which could be surprisingly high-scoring, competitive. The Bulls have stepped up against top teams. Maybe stack Zach LaVine and Kevin Durant or Vucevic and hope for some fireworks there. Finally, I think we all have a wicked Sabonis right now. The man has put up 70 DFS points in consecutive games, and if Embiid is out, he could have his way down low.
Love it. Yep. Love DeMontis. He's coming on strong at the end. Love a lot of those picks. I wish we saw some more Ty Jerome. Come on, OKC. It's ridiculous. At any rate, that's all the time we have for today, y'all. But we appreciate you guys. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that video. Jump in the comments tonight. Let us know who you guys are betting on. And jump into the show again tomorrow for an opportunity to win that gift card once we're back. And as for tonight, happy betting.